Hey everybody, my name is Aaron Gillespie. I play in a band called The Almost. Let's do it. The food blog I have is, it's called Foodisms, and it's just kind of about my travels and where I eat and just a bunch of my rambling on all things culinary. For like the last 10 years I've been really into food and cooking, and I just never been much of a technology guy, you know? And my publicist had the idea, she's like, you should do a blog. And I was like, I don't mess with that stuff, you know? She's like, it's so easy. So we ended up just figuring it out, and it's been super fun. I would love to like pick up where Anthony Bourdain leaves off, in the sense where he's like a food writer, but he's also really non-PC. You know what I mean? He's very much like just an everyman's man, and he kind of just does what he wants. And sort of like that, maybe a little more reverent than he is, but he's like my favorite food writer, and I love his show. And I don't know if I want to do a show. I kind of want to do a mixture between that, and there's a show on Food Network by a guy named Guy Fieri, who's like the white-headed guy. He has a show called Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. It's like kind of low-rent spots that are delicious, you know? So somewhere in there, you know, some traveling sort of, I'd love to do a show. But the writing end of it, I would like to compile everywhere I've been and maybe do a book one day, or I'm not sure. I've eaten some weird stuff and been to some weird spots, you know what I mean? And it's super neat to be able to kind of chat about that. You know, I've eaten chicken hearts in Brazil and who knows what in Africa, and you know, I'll eat anything. I'll eat anything except for beets. I don't like beets. I mean, I'll eat them, but that's the only thing I complain about. I don't like beets. I haven't had durian, and I heard durian is nasty. It's this fruit. It's really popular in like Singapore and lots of Thai food. It's banned in a lot of open markets. It smells so bad. And most people say it's like worse than anything they've ever eaten, worse than like testicles or whatever. And it's a fruit. It's crazy, man. It's called durian. Look it up. It's disgusting. Haven't eaten that yet. I'm nervous about that. But I'll eat anything. Some people just don't have a palate for something. And I've tried to eat everything, dude. I really have. And beets taste like blood and dirt to me. You know, we get most of our sugar from beets too. You know, if you drive across America's Midwest, you see beets planted for miles and miles and miles. And I always wonder, what are those beets for? Because I don't see, beets aren't like a regular commodity. You know, every tapas bar you're at, they're not serving beets. Or every salad bar you're at, there's some beets, but they're just like rehydrated water, nasty things. And my father-in-law is from Idaho, and he told me that a big cash crop for Idaho is sugar beets, and so they refine them and turn them into sugar. So, you know, when you eat typical commercial granulated sugar, it was probably from beet, which is interesting, but I can't eat it, man. I'm not much of an adventurous chef. I would be if I cooked more. You know, I don't cook half as much as I'd like to. You know, so when I cook, I cook for my family, and just simple, cheap, easy food is something that I love making. You know, meatloaf, and I like to make a lot of Southwestern dishes, one-pot dishes. Oh yeah, I mean, I experiment with spices and rubs and marinades and stuff like that, but you know, when you're at home and you're only home for a month at a time, you're not really trying to go to the Asian market and buy something you've never seen and can't pronounce and figure out how to wield a knife to it, you know what I mean? It's pretty much me cooking food that is simple that I can't get anywhere else and when I'm home, you know? I think the first 3 or 4 times it's you eat McDonald's and pizza, but after that you figure out things, you know, and you find, and I don't eat like that anymore at all. I get great food on the road. The more you meet people from a certain town too, they're going to take you to their favorite spot, or to that good place that has that interesting sandwich, or the pizza place that has been there for 30 years that they go to every night that has dollar beer. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff, it just comes along with the territory. Both bands are really, they love the whole thing. You know, I cook for them, and they're into it. You know, so most people are pretty adventurous. I mean, there's a few guys in I play music with that are very picky eaters, and so you don't really ask them to go. You know, pizza, burger guys. But I watched the guitar player from my other band become adventurous. He's a really adventurous eater now, and he's really into cooking. And he used to didn't like tomatoes or avocados or mayonnaise or anything, and he slowly started putting stuff on other things. So creating condiments that you're uncomfortable with at first, I think, is the best bet. You know, maybe putting avocado on top of a burger, or putting tomatoes on a pizza, like whole tomatoes, so that way they're like kind of jammy and cooked out. That way you're like, oh, this is sort of like tomato sauce. You know what I mean? So starting slow like that, you know, you can put anything on pizza and put it in the oven, and you can eat it. You know what I mean? Or you can put anything on a burger and you can eat it. So I think that's the best way to wean people off of their sort of vanilla flavorings. Or marinate something in a spice or a sauce that you're afraid of, because you'll find when it cooks out, it tastes great. you know. That's my suggestion for people that don't like wine. You know, a lot of people don't like wine, and wine is such a huge part of the culinary life. Make reductions with wine. You know what I mean? You know, make like a mushroom sauce with wine for your steak. You know what I mean? You'll find that when it's cooked down, you can really taste it, and it tastes amazing. So that's the best way, is to kind of give people a little taste of things here and there. You know, to finally, when they get to that position of actually eating that item raw, you know, they're like, oh, this reminds me of that, or this is that flavor. You know, I remember the first time I had sushi. I was 17. I was like, man, this isn't good. You know, I really didn't like it, but it was like grocery store sushi. And then a couple years later, someone took me out to like a really great sushi meal, and it's my favorite food now. You know what I mean? So like, it's just training your palate. When I was a kid, I hated tomatoes, mayonnaise, onions, lettuce, everything, you know. And now I'll eat anything but beets. Don't like beets. I got a choke down sea urchin too. I'm not too into that. It just tastes like mud, but I can choke it down. I can eat it if I need to. Live octopus. Yeah. You can, there's a certain type of octopus, and they cut the tentacles off and they're still moving, and you eat it and it like sticks inside your mouth and stuff. I want to eat that really bad. I'm just afraid that it would stick to like my esophagus or like my windpipe on the way down and kill me. And regrettably, I'm allergic to salmon, and that is hell, because I love it so much. Sometimes I just eat it and deal with the consequences, but I don't like it. Like, I can't eat it on tour because it makes my throat swell up, and I so I can't get through the shows. I'm like, blah, you know what I mean? So people tend to get pissed and they pay money, and you can't do it, and you can't sing. So, and you know, I think something that impresses everybody is making your own pasta sauce. And you can make pasta sauce crazy. Like a friend of mine, she dates the guitar player for the Almost. Her family's off the boat Italian, and her grandmother can't even speak English Italian, and she gave me this spaghetti sauce recipe, and it's just a pomodoro sauce recipe. It's stupid easy. I started messing with it and putting like roasted red peppers in it, or kind of putting some more exotic things in it. And when someone walks in your house, you know, your date walks in your house, and your house smells like fresh tomato sauce, they're gonna be like, what are we eating? And you can put that on top of anything. You can make chicken parmesan, which is dumb easy to make, but it's like, whoa, we're out to a wonderful Italian bistro meal, and I made it on my range here at home. You know what I mean? So stuff like that is, I think, the basis of simple, good cooking is one pot cooking, or pot roast. You know, you can throw some stuff in a pressure cooker and cook it all day long, and it tastes like it's like from the steakhouse. You know what I mean? But you've just been cooking it all day and kind of concentrating those flavors. And those two recipes are absolute necessity in your arsenal. A great roast of any kind, you can roast anything, but a great roast of any kind and a good tomato sauce, because both of those are just naked foods. You can do whatever you want to them. The whole idea behind the record I had before we even wrote song one. I wanted to call it Monster Monster, and I wanted it to be about sort of the darkness in everyone's life and kind of hiding behind that and finding grace for it. And the mask and everything kind of came along with the idea of, sort of hiding behind something, but it sort of became a loosely, sort of almost a concept record. We wanted this weird sort of feeling of there's this darkness in my life, and I put it out there, and now I want to find grace for it, you know. So there's this sort of this reaching feeling to the lyrics. So no matter what happens to you or what buzz is created by your music, you're just still a normal person. You still wake up in the morning and you take a leak, and in a year no one will remember your name, and that's pretty much it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but you have to leaving your mark in a positive way, as opposed to that guy was drunk every night and an idiot. And when we first left with Under Oath in 2000 in a van and trailer with borrowed money, I had no idea I'd be sitting here, you know, or being married and owning a home, and you know, I couldn't even afford drumsticks. So just seeing like people all over the world respond, you know, I think it does something to you. It makes you extremely haughty and a douchebag, or it makes you feel this big, you know. And traveling the world has had that effect on me, you know. You'll be sitting in a plane flying over Russia, completely and totally in the hands of God, your life teetering in the balance, you know what I mean? And you're landing in Africa, and you don't really know where you're going to eat tomorrow or what's going to happen, you know, but you're just out there doing it, and people responding. And like I said, it makes you one of two ways, you know. It makes you a great humble feeling, or it makes you an asshole, you know.